We now take a look at the latest headlines out of Washington. Joining us now from our nation's capital, WBKO's Washington correspondent Josh Roltenberg. Josh, thanks for joining us first tonight.
Thanks for having me, Allie.
All right, well, first, Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell, the leader of Senate Republicans, appears to have had some sort of medical emergency today during the regular press briefing. So what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's really unclear exactly what happened to the Senate Minority Leader because he was at his weekly press conference in the hallways of the Capitol and he was just beginning to speak for maybe all of 10 seconds. And then all of a sudden, he just stopped. He just froze. His mouth wasn't moving. His eyes weren't blinking. Nothing was going on. He was just basically standing in place for 20 seconds before any of the senators next to him even asked him if he was okay. And then eventually he had to leave. He went to his office, did come back and answered some questions, but it was really scary. Luckily, he had a senator next to him, John Barrasso, who is actually a doctor, just in case something was to happen. But when McConnell came back, he said he was fine. We talked to McConnell's office today, and they said that he was feeling lightheaded and basically had to take a break. But when reporters caught up with him later at night, he again reiterated the fact that he was fine. He said that President Biden even gave him a call just to make sure he was okay. McConnell joked that he got sandbagged, which of course is in relation to when President Biden tripped over a sandbag a couple of weeks ago. But when they actually asked what happened to him, he would not expand. He wouldn't say if he's gotten any medical treatment. And so obviously it's very scary. He's 81 years old. He's one of the oldest members of Congress. And he did just have a recent history as far as falling and having a concussion and broken ribs just a couple of months ago. So obviously we wish the best for Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, but it's just unclear what exactly happened to him.
Yeah, certainly wishing for the best for him. Well, changing topics now. Earlier today, the president's son, Hunter Biden, pleaded not guilty in Delaware to federal tax violations. What's the latest on his legal problems?
Yeah, so this whole day did not go as planned. Hunter Biden was supposed to walk into that federal courthouse in Wilmington, Delaware, plead guilty to 2 minor tax offenses for failing to pay federal income taxes in 2017 and 2018, and then agree to a pretrial diversion program and avoid jail time for a felony gun charge in 2018. When this deal was presented to the court and when the judge, a Trump appointee, was going over this, she basically had a couple of concerns. First, she was very curious as to why the gun charge and the tax charges were linked together in the same agreement. And also, she wanted to make sure that Hunter Biden knew that he was not going to be immune from future prosecution for anything else. The Department of Justice said the investigation into Hunter Biden is ongoing. And once that happened, Biden's lawyers basically said no deal. They left the courtroom. They came back. They, we thought, agreed to a revised deal, but the judge still wasn't having it. So what she's ordered is for the two sides to go back to the table, see if they can come up with an explanation as to how they got to this deal in the first place. And if that's to happen, perhaps then Hunter Biden will agree to plead guilty like we thought he would. In the meantime, he's pled not guilty. And so if that is what continues, then ultimately perhaps Hunter Biden will go to trial. But of course, this has had ramifications here on Capitol Hill. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer from Kentucky has said that this is just more leg for the committee to stand on, that they feel that there is more there than meets the eye. At the same time, when you're trying to group Hunter Biden and President Biden together, there's been no direct link there to say that Joe Biden has had any knowledge of Hunter Biden's business dealings, which is separate from this trial. And then you did have the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, once he came back to that press conference, he said that any impeachment for President Biden, obviously different from this, would not be good for the country.
All right. Well, lastly, Josh, a congressional hearing has gotten a lot of attention on UFOs. Now, this is something obviously that doesn't happen every day. So what did the subcommittee learn today?
Yeah, so that term UFO is something they're not even using. They're using a term UAP, unidentified anomalous phenomena. Basically, what this whole hearing had to do with the House Oversight Subcommittee was you had a whistleblower and high-ranking military officials that have all retired, but they basically say that they have had firsthand experience in either seeing or dealing with these UAPs, these UFOs. And they also say at the same time, though, when they tried to say say something about it, they are claiming that the Pentagon has actually tried to silence them, which is why one of them was a whistleblower. And so it's really interesting to see the Pentagon didn't have an official show up to this hearing, even though somebody was invited. They did release a statement saying that there's no evidence to suggest basically anything that these whistleblowers and these other officials are saying is true. But what you are seeing on Capitol Hill is a bipartisan and bicameral effort basically saying that the Pentagon is not being transparent. And as a result, they are saying that this could cause a national security risk, because you're talking about things potentially, we don't know, but potentially you could be talking about aliens or extraterrestrials, which obviously would not just be a national security threat, but potentially a whole threat to planet Earth. But, you know, that's a whole nother can of worms to open. But nonetheless, this is an effort that this is only day one of what is going to promise to be a number of different hearings about a subject that is just out of this world.
I love the pun there, Josh. Thank you. A lot to wrap your head around on that topic. Well, from our nation's capital, WBKO's Washington correspondent Josh Rotenberg. Josh, thanks again for being here.
You got it.